Hey, what's going on? I'm Matt O'Leary back with another video, and today we're going to be talking about Trevor Lawrence. I know some of you guys want to talk about it, some don't. Probably fall somewhere in the middle, but we have to. So what's going on? I'm Matt O'Leary. You can follow me on social media at Matt O'Leary NY, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that fun stuff. Also, if you haven't already checked out the podcast, new episodes drop every Wednesday. You can call in, leave me a question. I'll try to get to it on the show. And last but not least, let's talk about Patreon. Patreon.com/Matt O'Leary NY gets you bonus content. We're doing articles, pregame shows, whole lot of interesting stuff happening over there. So if you're interested, check that out. Link in the description below. All right, so Trevor Lawrence. The New York Jets currently own the number one overall pick. They are in sole possession of that pick because they are the only winless team left. And there is, whether you want to believe it or not, a realistic opportunity for this team to go 0-16. Now, would I be 100% stunned if they won a couple of games somehow? No, it's the NFL. Weird stuff happens all the time. But this is definitely the worst roster in football, and they have a tough schedule. So it's absolutely on the table that they have the number one overall pick. And if they do, I don't see them passing on Trevor Lawrence. That's not to say I'm rooting against Sam Darnold. I still like Sam Darnold. I think he could be good in this league. But if you're picking first overall, that means that Sam Darnold probably hasn't taken the steps that you want him to at this point in the remainder of the season. Again, I would really like to see him back on the field. I don't want to see any more Joe Flacco. That was rough having to watch him back-to-back weeks. We might have to get one more week of Joe Flacco, which I'm not looking to do. But as for Trevor Lawrence, this past week he had a monster game against Georgia Tech. He was 24 of 32 for 404 yards. 5 touchdowns, 1 pick. And oh, by the way, that was in the first half. He only played a half of the game, and he put up 400 passing yards, 5 touchdowns. Unbelievable stuff. On the season, he has a 73% completion percentage, 1,544 yards, which is 10.4 yards per attempt, 15 touchdowns to 1 interception. This guy is really good. There's no denying that he's a good prospect. Even if you don't want the Jets to draft a quarterback and you want the Jets to trade down, which I kind of see that point of view, I really do. You have to admit that he was a good prospect, and you would get an absolute haul for it. If the Jets don't end up with the first overall pick, and let's say somehow by some miracle they're picking between the 3rd pick and the 5th pick, I would say they are likely to keep Sam Darnold at that point. But if they end up with the number one overall pick, without a doubt in my mind, they're going to take Trevor Lawrence. And the reason for that is because Trevor Lawrence can be the recruiting tool for coaches. What to you is a more appealing outlook? A team with the first overall pick, a ton of cap space, Trevor Lawrence, who you can have for a long time. Because that's another thing. Like, Trevor Lawrence is going to be starting out on his rookie contract, where Sam Darnold is already 4 years in to his rookie contract. So the cap situation is going to be a little bit different. And there are reasons to get excited about this guy. Like, he absolutely has the makings of a generational talent. And you might be able to recruit a top tool head coach. I'm talking Eric Bieniemy, Arthur Smith, Brian Dable, Joe Brady, PJ Fleck, Matt Campbell, all the names that you want to talk about and run down the list. You can maybe attract one of those guys because you have a load of cap space and you have the number one overall pick. The Jets don't have the best infrastructure in terms of ownership. They have arguably one of the worst in football. But in order to make it a little bit more appealing, the number one overall pick certainly does that. And having a guy like Trevor Lawrence certainly does that. Now, I also understand the people who still like Sam Darnold and still want to see him be the quarterback. I really do see both sides. I would be okay with either scenario. Again, if they win a couple of games here, Darnold shows progress in the second half of the year, and they're picking 3rd or 4th, then okay, sure, let's roll with Sam Darnold, and then you take, best available at that point, hopefully a wide receiver, offensive lineman, or something on the offensive side of the ball. But if you're picking first and Trevor Lawrence is sitting right there, that seems like the easy choice, and I think that's the choice that Joe Douglas would make. I don't think he would trade that pick. I know that he traded picks in the past to move down in the 2nd round and move around the board and stuff like that. But this one, it really all depends on what the coach wants to do. And I think you're more likely to get a top candidate in here if you say, okay, you can be paired with Trevor Lawrence. On the same token, I seem like I'm talking myself in circles. There still are people who believe in Sam Darnold. So maybe there's a circumstance that a coach is hired that likes Sam Darnold and wants to be the guy who fixes, quote unquote, fixes Sam Darnold. Then okay, maybe you go that direction. But all signs right now point to the Jets having the first overall pick and taking Trevor Lawrence. We'll see if that's the case, 6 months from now. But as it stands today, that seems like the most likely scenario. So that's what we have to talk about. I wish we could talk about the football games, but right now they don't matter. They are 0-6. They look terrible. There's 10 more games of this. Disgusting. It's absolutely gross. But the Jets are sitting at 0-6, so what the hell else are we supposed to talk about? The Jets have given you nothing on the field to talk about, so we have to talk about potential draft prospects and the number 1 overall pick, which is going to be a blast, which is going to continue to happen. It's a hot button issue. It's going to be a very, debated topic, but it's one that we have to discuss. So let me know in the comments down below. What do you think of Trevor Lawrence? Do we get the number 1 overall pick? Should they take him? Do you trade the pick? Do you want to see Darnold succeed? Are we rooting to go 0-16? There's so many factors here, and I want to hear from you. So let me know in the comments or on social media at Matt O'Leary NY. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll talk to you next time.